So today what we're going to do is we are going to look into how we can use Python, some of the Python libraries rather, for advanced data visualization. When I talk about advanced data visualization, uh, I specifically mean by three visualizations. The first one is visualizing a geospatial data. Geospatial data is the data which is associated with geological location. So it is a spatial data. So that we are going to look at in today's class. In the afternoon, we will see how we can create waffle charts and word clouds. So those are the two things which we'll learn in the afternoon. And in the morning, we'll look at how we can use Python for visualizing the geological and geospatial data, which is essentially means that we are going to generate maps with Python. So there are three different types of maps in Python, which we can create very easily. The first one is Folium. The second one is maps with markers. And third one is choropleth maps. So in today's class, we'll just see what is Folium, and then we'll jump on to choropleth maps. So let us see what is Folium. Folium, you might have seen it before. Perhaps actually when you have used Google Maps or open source maps, it is essentially consisting of a folium or a leaflet on which we are embedding some data. So these are nothing but leaflet maps. In a sense, we're looking at one portion of the map and we're tagging it, and onto that, we're actually putting some data. So there are 1, 2, 3 layers. You remember like one of the graphs which we discussed earlier, graph in which we show the distance from Mumbai airport to Pune. That was kind of leaflet map where we had three different layers. We had a geospatial data. On top of that, we had the actual terrain data. And then we also had a road or a street going from one place to another place. So that is the example of leaflet map, and perhaps it can also be considered as Folium map. Now, Folium results are very interactive. One of the good things about Folium is that you can actually zoom in, you can zoom out, you can actually select what kind of layer you want. So that's why they are used for building dashboards. They're used to actually create some kind of dashboard where geolocation is important. Now, it is based on Python ecosystem, and it also makes use of one of the leaflet.js library from GeoJSON to make it more powerful, which means you can actually do all the data processing in Python and then visualize that onto the leaflet map via a package called Folium. Okay, so we are getting the strength from both sides, leaflet map as well as the power of Python. So first thing first, what I have to do is I have to go to Anaconda. So I have a Anaconda navigator over here, and in the Anaconda navigator, what I have to do is I have to launch the Jupyter notebook. So I'm going to launch Jupyter notebook. It will take about a minute. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So it's open in my next screen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to one of my files. So I'm going to go to desktop, go to database, and then go to geospatial. And then I'm going to create a new file, new Python file called March I have created a file with name something underscore Folium. Now, as I just mentioned, Folium essentially consists of a map in the background, and on top of that, we are going to actually create, or we are actually going to embed some data. So we have to look for uh, some kind of extra installations on top of matplotlib. So the first installation what we will require is known as a library called Folium. So we are going to install library called Folium. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write over here pip install. This command is used to install some newer libraries. So we are going for Folium, and we are going to put version of Folium as 0.5.0. So that is the version which we'll be using. You need not have to remember this version. You can just go to Folium's website. There is a dedicated website, and look for whatever is the best version available. Okay, and then you can actually just go and download that. So now I'm installing Folium. So I'm just going to press enter. Now it will take some time depending upon your bandwidth. Generally, it takes about 5 minutes. In my case, it was quick because I already had installed Folium earlier. So that's why it mentioned that the requirement is already satisfied. In your case, it might take some time. It might take maybe about 5 minutes or maybe more than 5 minutes. So just be patient. Don't lose your heart. Just be patient and get it done. And it will be done actually. Okay, so now next thing is we have installed a library called Folium. So now we have to import that Folium. So I have to write import Folium. And we also have to import Folium. Once it is imported, from Folium, we are going to import plugins. So I'm just going to write import plugins. It's easy, isn't it? Import Folium, and from Folium import plugins. In addition to that, we are going to do some kind of statistics. We are going to see some of the data. We're going to apply some kind of statistics onto that. We're also going for data. We are also looking for data which is in the structured form, and we're going to process that data. So what we do is we import NumPy, which we saw yesterday, as NP, and we also import pandas as PD. Okay, so we're importing Folium. Once Folium is imported, we're importing some plugins. We're also importing NumPy as NP and pandas as PD. And then let us press Shift and Enter. Okay, great. So now what it says is import panda. Oh, sorry for that. It's not pandas. Great. It is pandas. 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 As PD. Let me just correct this one. I'll just correct it over here itself. So let's see. Perfect. So now there is no error. So we have imported Folium, imported plugins, NumPy, and pandas. Great. Now the next thing is, once we have imported Folium, let us see if it is working. If it is working, and if we can make use of it. And for that, we are going to use one of the things called world map. So we're going to see the world map. So what we're going to do here is we are going to define a world map. So let us write define the world map. And what we're going to write is just world map, because we want to actually use that as a map. So world map, is equal to Folium. So world map is equal to Folium map. And once we define that, then let us display world map. So I'm just going to write it as display world map. And then I'm just going to write world map and see what happens. So, okay, one more thing. What happened? Model object is not callable. Okay, fine. Why is it so? Okay, let me try one more time. Great, there was some issue. I might have done some. Okay, fine, perfect. So we got the world map. So define world map, and then we got the world map. So now it is a leaflet, and the good thing is we can actually just zoom in and zoom out of this world map. So I can just zoom in, or if you want, I can zoom out. Maybe perhaps I can actually zoom into, say, Pune. So we have Pune over here, and I'm just zooming it over here. So this is a world map which we are going to use it as a template. Okay. Now, instead of actually me zooming it in or zooming it out, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write something over here to make sure that we are actually using the same thing with particular location. So I'm going to just copy this thing, write it over here, and then instead of just using Folium map, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a location. So let us actually find the location of Bhilai and see like if we could able to actually get it. So can somebody tell me what is the actual latitude and longitude of Bhilai? Just tell me in your chat box. Anyone? Okay, great. So I'm just going to copy it from. Okay, great. Thank you. Great. So it is. I'm just going to use 21.19 and 80.35. Okay, so I'm going to use those two numbers. So I have 1.19 and 81.25. So what we're going to do is that we're going to location, and then we're also going to mention about the zoom level. So typically we can go for zoom level of 5 or 6. Let us go for zoom level of 5. Okay. And then everything else is correct. Let us see what we did. Okay, so perfect. So like now it is actually around Vilai, but the zoom start was very uh, low. It was just 5. So let us go for a zoom level of about 10. Then we might be able to see the actual. Okay. And then we are actually around the line, which is great. So we can actually define particular location and then we can actually set a zoom level to play with one of the data. Now the other thing is what we can do with this is we can actually use different tiles. Right now we did not actually mention any tile, but in Folium we have actually ability to use different tiles. I'm just going to put uh, tile. So maybe I can go to zoom level of 4 and I can actually go for a tile so that we can have map in different uh, styles. So I can go for tiles is equal to one of the things which I can remember. Let me just check is stamen toner. Okay, so it's a black and white kind of map. Stamen toner. Okay, and let's actually go and see. Now my map has been converted into black and white. Uh, One of the other thing is instead of actually stamen toner, what we can do is we can actually go for um, say stamen. I guess there is stamen terrain. Okay, stamen terrain. So we can actually go for stamen terrain, and then we can see a map with uh, some different mode. So those are different tiles which you can actually use. All the information is available again on their website, Folium website. So you did not have to remember. I also actually did not remember. I just actually referred to their website and then I'm actually using this. Now, one of the things now what we are going to do is like once we know how to use Folium, now we are actually going to go to one of the web pages where all the data of San Francisco Police Department is stored. And I'm just going to copy that from my earlier notes so that I need not to remember anything. So we are going to store that data as DF incidents. We are going to write it as pd.read_csv. The same thing what we did yesterday. But instead of now downloading a file and actually using it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it directly from their server. Okay, so I'm just going to go to just copy this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to copy the path where the file is located. I'm just going to copy this file. So this is df_incidents pf.read_csv, and then we have a link https. So one of the things what I have to make sure is like we have a code sort here. Perfect. Then yeah, and then let us see if we could actually read this file. So like once this command is executed, let us make sure that it prints something so we'll get to know it is properly downloaded. So data set download complete. That's some message. Okay, it need not have to be something so data set download is complete. Let us run this command. So it might take some time depending upon your internet speed. I do have some problem because my internet speed is right now very weak, but let us see what we can see. It's running. Okay, so we'll wait for 1 more minute. Otherwise, we'll use different trick. Okay, it might be because the file is uh, too big. Okay, by that I mean downloads. Let us take a break of a minute or two. If you want to actually just leave your desk and come back, that should be okay. So let us take a break of about 2 minutes. Okay, great. Uh, I hope like everybody's back. Uh, it did take some time, but finally we can see that dataset download is now complete. So we have got a data set from one of the repositories where we have the data of different incidences happened in San Francisco Police Department's district. So we are going to use that now for making some kind of visualizations. So let us go ahead and work. So the first thing first, we want to know what kind of data it looks like. So I'm just going to put df underscore incidences. Okay. Okay. So I'll get to know what kind of data I'm working with. df underscore instance here. Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. So what we have here is the incident number, the category, what happened. For example, there was a non-criminal, it is non-criminal category, it is warrant, it is weapon law. So bunch of categories are there. The description, then day of the week, was it Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday? Okay, perfect. Date and time, then police department district, southern district, mission district, resolution. So what happened, the address where it took place, and its location and the ID. What we are interested in is we want to know what happened and at what location it happened. So there might be some incidences. So right now, we just saw uh, df underscore instance dot head. What we want to do is we just want to see how the exact data looks like, what is the shape of the data, and then we are going to just pick some of the data from this data set. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this one, df underscore incidence dot head, and then instead of head, I'm just going to write shape. Okay, df underscore instance dot shape, and then it will show me that there are 150500, so almost 150,000 instances took place in that department. I'm not interested in all these instances. If I can look into that, I can of course look into that, but for today's class, let us limit ourselves to first few incidences. Let us actually just focus on first few incidences and then work on it. Okay, so what we can do is we can limit ourselves. So how we can limit ourselves? So I can just write get the first 100 crimes in the city of, maybe I can just write in the crimes in the data set. So we are not actually worried about any more crimes, just 100 crimes. That's what we want to get. Or maybe into data frame. Okay, so we are going to take only first 100 crimes. Okay, and for that, what we're going to write is a nice command called limit, L-I-M-I-T, limit is equal to 100. So we have a limit of 100, perfect. And then what we're going to do is we are going to create one more data frame where we are going to write df underscore incidents is equal to df underscore incidents, and we are going to use a command which we studied yesterday, and that is ilog command. Ilog command with our limits. So what are the limits? 0 to 100. So I can just write it as limit because we have defined limit as 100, and we want all the columns. So I'm just going to write it like this. Okay, so df underscore instance is equal to, yeah, makes sense. This reads well. And let us see. Perfect. So now we have only first 100 incidents which we are looking at. Great. So now we have actually sliced the data. We have defined the data, what data I'm going to look into. Now I also want a layer. I want a leaflet onto which I'm going to put all my information. And what is that leaflet? That leaflet is going to be a map of San Francisco. So can anyone tell me what are the longitude and latitude values of San Francisco? It is latitude is longitude. Let me research as well. So perfect. Okay, great. Yeah, so it is 37.77 and 122.41. I'm just going to use it at 37.77 and 122 point how much? 41. I'll just use it as because it is 41 point something. 0.42. And since now, as actually Somajit mentioned, it is west. So it is west of zero latitude. So we have to use negative. I'm just going to write it as. So these are the longitude and latitude for San Francisco. Very good. I'm just going to press enter. Now the next thing what we are going to do is we are again going to go back couple of commands which we used here and do the same thing for San Francisco so that we can actually focus on San Francisco area. So let us actually go to create map and display. Create maybe map and display. So I'm just going to write as san underscore map is equal to folium dot map, then location is equal to on the cube. Yes, it is latitude first. Latitude, comma, longitude. And let us go for a zoom level of zoom start is equal to, let us go for 12. And then we are going to actually display the map that we're just going to write okay. So central map is equal to folium.map. Okay, makes sense. Okay, let us see now. Okay. Oh, there was a comma, so I'm just going to remove that comma. This volume.map, not comma map. Perfect. And now we can see a map of San Francisco. So now the next thing what we're going to do is we are going to put the information onto that map. So what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to copy the commands which are already typed somewhere else, and then I'm going to just use those commands because I don't want to spend much time in writing those commands here. I'm just going to copy everything from my notepad and then I'm going to paste it over here. But I'll explain what exactly those lines mean. Okay. So what we're going to do is, firstly, we are going to instantiate or instantiate a feature group for the incidents in the data frame. So we're actually going to create some kind of feature group. And into that, we're now going to put some data. So like we have incidents is equal to Folium map, and there is some feature group. So I'll talk about it, or like I'll show it to you once the feature group is generated. And then what we're going to do is for each crime, we are going to add incident in that feature group. So we're going to create a feature group, and in that feature group, we're going to put all the information for all the 100 crimes. So for latitude and longitude in the zip, now what is zip? Zip is a postal code in United States, and that zip number is available here. So what we're going to do is for latitude and longitude in zip, which is df instance dot y and df instance x, we are going to put some kind of features called circle markers. So this is a feature group, and in this feature group, we are going to use circles or circle markers as one of the features. And for each latitude and longitude, which we have defined, we are going to put that circle marker. So we have a feature group, and in that feature group, we have a feature of circle marker for different latitude and longitude. Now, again, we are going to define how that circle is going to look like. So this have a radius of 5, and so that depends how big you want your circle. Typically 4 or 5 should be okay. Then what kind of color you want, I have put it yellow right now. If you want to fill it, you can put it true. If you don't want to fill it, you can put it as false. And then fill color can be defined and opacity can be defined. So that is very obvious thing. And once it is created, now we are going to put this incident, which is now feature group, which is a map, which we just generated on top of San Francisco's map. So we are going to add incident to the map by showing San Francisco map dot add child, which we defined here with the incidents. Okay, so let us see what we get. Perfect. So what we did is we selected first 100 crimes. For each crime, we defined the location, and at that particular location, we created a circle, and that circle is filled with blue color with a yellow outline. So this is what, and this is how we can actually fill in the information on top of some leaflet. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is just actually going to, I guess someone is asking some question. Okay, I guess we're okay. Yeah. Perfect. No worries. What we're going to do is, on top of that, we are actually going to, instead of actually just making circle, now what we're going to do is we are going to put a marker on the map. So instead of just having one circle, which is over here, or maybe here, we are going to put a marker which will actually show what exactly that marker is about, or what exactly that incident is about. And for that, I'm just going to copy this thing as it is. So, and then I'm going to just do some kind of changes to put the marker. So let me copy that from here. Then I'm just going to add two more lines, and then I'm just going to place it over here. Give me a moment. Okay, perfect. We have already defined the blue dots, and on top of it now, what we're going to do is we are going to add a pop-up text for each marker on the map. So for each marker, we are going to put the incidents, Y and X incidents, and the incident category as a label. And then we are going to run it again for each incident. Okay, great. Perfect. So now Earlier we just got circles. Now what we have got is the actual marker. And if I click on this marker, then we can get to know what kind of incident happened at that particular location. If I click on this one, it was a warrant. If I click on this one, then it falls under other offense. Okay, so we added pop-up text for each marker on the map by using this code. So I want actually you to go through this code offline. If you have any problems, just let me know. Okay, so let us do one more thing and then we will stop. So what we're going to do is, it is a bit advanced, and this is the last thing what we'll be doing is we will use a plugin from Folium import plugin. You remember, like when we started with making some importing some plugins imported into our cache. So from Folium, we imported plugins. So now we are going to use those plugins to beautify our map, to beautify our Folium map. So what we're going to do is, right now, all these incidents are scattered. And what happens is, I have to go and see each incident. For example, here, I have to go and check it. And then I don't know exactly where that incident happened. So what we're going to do is, we're going to make some clusters. We're going to mark some clusters and put that data into different clusters. So we are going to redefine the San Francisco map like what we did earlier. And then we are going to actually put all those data into a cluster and then actually show it on the map. So let me copy that code and then try to understand that code. Just give me a moment. Okay, great. Yeah. So as it is self-explanatory, we are going to use plugin from Folium import plugins. We'll again begin with a clean copy of the map of San Francisco because we don't want all the other residues to come in. So we are defining San Francisco map over here with the latitude and longitude, whatever latitude and longitude we had defined earlier. And then we are going to instantiate a mark cluster object for the incident in the data frame. So we are going to actually just start the mark cluster object for the instance. And for that, we're going to use a plugin called plugins.markCluster. So we're going to use a plugin called marker cluster, and that marker cluster is going to add into the San Francisco map, just straight liner, and that we're going to add. And then we're again going to run the same thing which we ran over here. And then we'll display the San Francisco map. And this is what we see. So this is our final end product, where we have now clustered all our incidences by their location. So if I just add in all the things, then it is 60, 70, 80, and then it will be 90, and it is 100. Yeah, so it exactly is 60, 70, 80, 86, 91, 94, 98, and 100. So we have 100 incidences happening in the San Francisco area. Now, what we can do with it? So I know there are 2 instances happening here. I know there are 60 instances happening in this area. We have 10 instances over here, 10 instances over here. I can just zoom in and then see that it is changing. So earlier it was 60. Now it is 18, 18, and 12. If I again zoom in, then that 18 will become 7, 5, 2, and 3. So by using this cluster command, marker cluster command, which is one of the plugins in Folium, we can actually do all those type of things. So I can actually just zoom out now. So now what I can see is that there are some 100 incidents. So This is how you can make use of Folium to display your data and make it more interactive. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop my recording immediately and then I talk to you again so that I can just quickly share that with you after some time.